Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday my thing was about Dane Wigington and the whole geoengineering thing, and apparently today he went on Alex Jones's show, and I love Alex Jones, so I'm always tickled to death when he does that. Like I said, I don't know Dane personally. I used to fucking do security for him. We're friends. I have his number. I can talk to him. I can bullshit with him, but it's not a guy that like I hang out all the time with. He is super devoted into saving, the world from geoengineering, all that shit. He's a very serious guy, very, serious influencer. And I know I was like, oh, you guys gotta like watch, what in the world are they spraying? But I'm positive a lot of you won't, and that's fine. Nobody has a problem with that. Nobody can force you to do anything. But if you want to watch this podcast and everything like that, I'm going to play a little bit of his interview. I think his interview is like an hour long. I don't want to get too far into it, but we might as well. So let's just see what's going on here and let Dane Wigington talk for himself. Hear what you hear. Understand. What you can. If you don't believe it, that's fine. It's the internet. The computer's at your hands. You can always turn it off or switch to something else. But if not, listen to it. I mean, it in all my honesty, my opinion, honest opinion, everything, you know, will coincide with like what geoengineering does. I mean, you destroy the air that you breathe, the weather that surrounds you, you destroy the crop that surrounds you. It's like that one pyramid that they used to show you in like third grade with all the animals and seeds and stuff, and the humans are at the top. And as soon as you start removing these the blocks off these pyramids, as in extincting these animals and taking them out, the pyramid crumbles and the man at the top falls down. So, and that's what geoengineering will do. It will do it. I was like saying last night, I drive an hour home and there's no bugs on my windshield. There's, nothing like that. 10, 15 years ago, not even 10 years ago, that it would just be like splattered with bugs and all that kind of shit because they were so abundant and so, so much of them. And that's a good thing. That was the ecosystem that we lived in, and you don't fuck with ecosystems. So the fact that they're all gone is like or not all gone, but dwindled down so much means like, that we've got problems. And trust me, people at Vanguard and fucking BlackRock aren't thinking about that. They don't care. And if you think that they don't have a role in the geoengineering and HARP and all that kind of shit that our government does, you're sorely mistaken. These guys are scum, and they'll always be scum. They are literally Satanists, in my opinion. BlackRock, the black cube of Saturn, Satan, fags. Okay, fags are not all fags are satanic, but fucking fag. I may have been going too far, but I don't care. So, anyways, we're gonna listen a little bit of what Dane has to say. I haven't seen this yet. I literally haven't. I was like, I blew out my leg like 2 days ago. Just blew the knee out. I was locking up shop and fucking closing everything up. And I was going through over a little bit of, wires and, shit that everybody was making. And I kicked something, and I think my leg twisted a little bit, and I heard a pop. And I'm like, oh, fuck, that's not good. And it hurt a little bit, and it was uncomfortable for the rest of the night. And I still, went and got my groceries, didn't have no problems. And then came home. I think I did a podcast that night. It was like 2 nights ago. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did one. And fucking woke up the next day, leg locked up. It was horrible. And then today, a little bit more movement, leg still locked up by the end of the day, but the boss let me go home early. And, lately you took some ibuprofen, and, leg feels a lot better now. So hopefully I'll be able to do a nice hard day's work because I got like a bunch of shit to do. But I'm getting off track. Sorry. Here we go. Let's get into what Dane Wigington has to say. So we're just gonna go ahead and see what we got here. We're gonna import this. Yep. Why aren't you playing? Apparently, I have a problem with my mouse here. All right, there we are. There we are.
We have the CIA director, 2015, 16, in speeches saying we can do this. We've been doing it, but we don't want to tell the public about it because of lawsuits. So it's going on. We have the leading expert, Dane Wigington, on with us, geoengineeringwatch.org. Right now, there's so many places to start, so many places to go here. So, Dane, I'm just going to give you the floor here to go where you think first. Dane, thanks for joining us.
Alex, good to be with you again, brother. Thank you for always staying the course in this fight on so many fronts. The American public and elected officials are beginning to wake up to the fact that the covert weather warfare assault has been waged for decades against them. In regards to Hurricane Milton and the method with which these storms have been manipulated, the spawning is a separate issue, the spawning of the storms. But what we can say definitively is they are steering these storms. And Milton took, we believe, an unexpected jog toward the southeast, toward the Yucatan Peninsula, where a massive transmitter in Cancun nudged it back on course. And we recorded those transmissions as well. It spun up to, we believe, earlier than they had scheduled it to. It spun up to the strong Cat 5 that we saw, again, making it much more difficult to manipulate. So it may have gone off course a bit from where it was scheduled to go. They're more difficult to control the stronger the storm is, especially over the ocean. Once it reaches land, we have the NextRad network that is more capable of steering these storms. And again, these are patented technologies. So whatever agendas and objectives, again, there may be about this storm, where it's scheduled to make landfall, we can speculate about, again, all those agendas and objectives. There's likely many. The screen you're showing right there, Hurricane Helene, and the NextRad transmissions that have a repelling effect on the storm. That's, again, what happened in Cancun as the storm went southeast, and we believe that wasn't part of their original agenda, that it went off course a bit, and the transmitter in Cancun, very powerful transmitter, pushed it back. And again, we recorded those transmissions as well. So bottom line is these storms are being steered, period. If we go all the way back to 1947, Alex, I know you know this, many of your listeners do as well, but Project Cirrus, the U.S. military's initial onset of manipulating hurricanes, how far have they come since then? And again, for people to deny climate engineering at this point is absolutely ludicrous. And we know even Project Popeye in Vietnam in the 60s, historical record, U.S. military is so effective at controlling precipitation over that country that by the mid-70s, we have international treaties forbidding weather modification in wartime, not that anybody pays attention to those. So, Alex, this is nothing short of weather warfare, period.
I'm going to
stop that. I'm going to have to stop that right there real quick. Pardon me. I think I mentioned Operation Popeye a couple times. That's where we flooded out the Ho Chi Minh Trail. I did a lot of my research before I met Dane, and a lot of it, before, when I was, looking through Alex Jones's materials, because he had mentioned these operations, and Dane, Dane knows his shit. He literally brings his receipts. And if he's saying that, he's recording pings on these different areas where they've got these installations and they're using that to steer it, he's got the data. You got, even back in the day when I would do security for his ass, his presentations were a couple hours long, and they would, he'd have all the data, he'd have it up on, the screen and everything like that, showing you everything that, and it's all like government transcripts and everything like that. So when Dane says this shit, he's not lying. He's got the receipts. It's one of the reasons why I love the guy so much. He used to be on about the global warming thing, and I really had a problem with that, because he's like, oh, it's man-made global warming. And I get that. Yeah, we're man making the hurricanes and everything like that. But in my opinion, if you fuck up one thing on one side of the earth, it's gonna cause something on the other side of the earth to balance it out. So I don't really think that man can make global warming. We can sure fuck with the weather, but no, we can't make global warming. Climate changes all the time, whether we were fucking with it or not. But you just can't say it's man-made. There's no evidence, no proof. You fucking think that, then you're just a dipshit person that's fucking sucking on the lemonade. Anyways, so let's go back to Dane and see what he's got to say. Let me go back here. All right, here we go. Put him back on.
The fake environmentalists making everything about carbon dioxide, not atrazine, and nuclear reactors melting down, saying, oh, the weather's getting worse because you're not paying your carbon tax, literally terrorizing people with this. And we have all the CIA reports going back to the 60s, 70s, 80s admitting all of this. I showed them.
They don't control the weather, but you have to pay.
Type in the headline from the document and pull it up themselves. It's at CIA.gov. It's at Congress's website. We're talking about a fact here. I interviewed Ben Livingston, one of the first guys who were being involved in this. And I remember I was attacking HARP and having Dr. Nick Begich on in 2000. And in 2006, we get a call from an Air Force colonel at HARP. And he said, the director of HARP would like to come on. That interview's out there. And the guy came on and said, yeah, we can control the weather. We can even ignite the atmosphere, but big deal, it's not bad. So they admit all this, and we have the patents. But then at one level, the CIA head goes on C-SPAN and admits it all. But then you and I talk about it, we get attacked, and they say we're crazy. But meanwhile, places like Dubai, for decades, admit they control their weather and can use Doppler radar to create rain or to steer storms. Why don't you explain to people how Doppler radar is able to manipulate and energize the atmosphere and steer these storms?
Again, it has a repelling effect, and that is extraordinarily visible from the NEXRAD transmissions that we are recording. And we recorded for Hurricane Harvey, Ian, Maria, Michael, again and again and again. And you don't need to know anything about meteorology to see visibly the effect of these transmissions on the storms. If we go to Dubai, thank you for mentioning that, is it just a coincidence that days after Dubai announced it was going to ditch the dollar, they get deluged with 2 years worth of rain in, I think, 6 hours? Is that just a coincidence? And we see this sort of scenario over and over and over. And again, when these technologies have existed for so long, and as a matter of historical record, and we have somewhat over 200 patents at this point right now existing, the denial of this is criminal. And we would argue at geoengineeringwatch.org that everybody either actively or passively participating in these crimes, be it an elected official or media or a so-called weather expert that is participating in the cover-up of these crimes, does that not make them also culpable? So at geoengineeringwatch.org, we are trying to make known who's authoring articles. For example, a recent article from the New York Times, Alex, from Christopher Flavelle, who did his best to marginalize this incredibly dire issue. He referred to the interview exchange I did with Robert F. Kennedy and tried to mock and marginalize that. These people are increasingly desperate to mask what can't be hidden for much longer. And that's what I would encourage those trying to share this most dire issue in the ridicule and resistance they get from family and friends. Know that this issue will be exposed. You can't hide this. You can't put it in the rearview mirror. It's getting bigger and more ominous in front of the windshield every day. They're becoming more bold with their weather warfare actions because the public so far hasn't responded. Even when you have a hurricane like Helene, that again, there could be various objectives there. The Piedmont lithium mine in Piedmont in North Carolina, hemorrhaging hundreds of millions of dollars with DOD contracts coming due for that lithium. The landowners being a roadblock for them, and now those landowners have been washed away, literally. So again,
Dane, let me stop you because when I was thinking about you coming on the show yesterday, I meant to ask that question up front. So thank you for bringing up the most important point in my view. And let me just stop here, and I want you to really take your time answering this. You are, hands down, the last 25 years, the leading organization group with the scientists and others testifying to legislatures, Congress, you name it, exposing the real documents, the real admissions of this thing hiding in plain view. I am seeing explosive awakening to this in the last few years, and it's really at a crescendo now everywhere. People on the street, family, dominating social media. videos with hundreds of millions of views, just all over the place, talking about this. And so you've been hammering away at this. I've been hammering away. So many others have. And it got some traction. It's such a key issue. But now it's really broken into the consciousness. Can you speak to what's happening in your statement that
People
they
are
can't
waking
hold
up.
us back anymore? The storm of awakening.
Certainly, Alex, you and INFOWARS have been so pivotal and key in helping to blow this issue out into the open. Your voice is heard around the world. INFOWARS is known around the world. And at Geoengineering, we're immensely grateful to you and INFOWARS for your help with sounding the alarm on this issue. And because of the damage being done by these operations that is manifesting every single day in the DoD response to this, and I don't mean to implicate just the US DoD, we have governments around the globe colluding and cooperating with this issue. In fact, so much so
I said that last
we
night.
have historical records of Soviet climate modification scientists touring the US at the height of the Cold War in the 60s, and our scientists going there. So whatever the surface tensions are between these nations, they have definitely been colluding and cooperating on climate engineering operations.
That's what I was saying last night is I don't like the fact that my own government is controlling the weather. They should not have the right. And I am afraid that other governments are controlling the weather. And it doesn't matter Soviet, I don't know where he went Soviets, but like Russians or what have you, or the Nazis in Ukraine or what have you. It doesn't matter. Nobody should be fucking with the weather. That is like even the most illiterate child in the fucking poorest places in the earth. That kid has a right to he has a right to a lot of things, but he has a right to weather without us fucking with it. Weather should not be, I get it. Nuclear is probably like the worst threat, but weather is just as bad as a threat. And probably more. I mean, that would have to be a debate I'd have to have with a smarter person. But maybe I should call Dane. I got his number. Probably works. I don't know. But yeah, I'm just gonna let them continue on. They're just given so much that I could possibly. So let's do it again. Here we go. Sorry about that. I was just
So the bottom line, and what's on the screen now, I want to explain that quickly. These are localized, quote, weather modification operations that are designed as a smokescreen to mask the unfathomably larger climate intervention operation. So picture whatever particulate matter is going up on that screen, right, that's shown right now. You might have a few grams of material floating into the sky. Compare that with the KC-135 military tanker that's dumping 100 tons of toxic nanoparticles in one payload. So again, we have a power structure that's tried to mask the climate engineering operations with, quote, weather modification operations that are publicized, that are known. The single engine propeller driven aircraft, many times, Alex, with a few flares on the wings that might drop, in that case, 5 kilos of material into the sky. Again, compare that with a KC-135 that will dump 100 tons in a single payload. In fact, Alex, we've extrapolated, I'll leave with this, but we've extrapolated based on our testing at geoengineeringwatch.org, and we took a NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, flying lab to altitude, which no private party will ever get access to again. That was a set of extenuating circumstances and great expense for us. But we took that to altitude with top scientists. It's all in the Dimming documentary. We sampled what heavy aircraft were emitting. We processed that at Rensselaer Polytechnic in New York, world-renowned lab, found what we knew we would find, starting with aluminum nanoparticles. So working with University of Minnesota, with hundreds of lab tests, we have extrapolated what the likely global dispersion of these elements is, and that's about 40 to 60 million tons annually. So is it any wonder, Alex, that every other commercial on TV is asthma this, COPD that, respiratory everything, And yes, there's pollution. We recognize that. We're not denying that. But
That's HAARP.
when you have this intentional dumping of nanoparticles that are extremely inflammatory to the respiratory systems of toxic elements, aluminum, barium, strontium, manganese, polymer fibers, surfactants, there's HAARP that you're showing now. And that HAARP is an ionosphere heater. It's directional. They can bounce that signal off the atmosphere and bring it down in places over a great
The
spectrum.
director
And
told me on air at the time they can ignite the atmosphere. It's so powerful.
Yeah, I've heard him say that, and we can't know the totality of their capability. What HAARP does transmits 3.6 million watts of power into the electrically charged ionosphere, causes an electrical chain reaction, which superheats that layer of the atmosphere and causes the atmosphere to expand up and down. Alex, you've probably heard the term heat dome, high pressure heat dome a lot lately. We hear the meteorologists saying it all the time, right? So that's what you get from an ionosphere heater, a high pressure heat dome, that compressing air. And we're experiencing that in the West Coast right now. It's like living in hell. Temperatures never cool down day or night, and you have very little air movement under that heat dome. And they can circulate the jet stream in a clockwise manner around that heat dome in the Northern Hemisphere and direct it back down to other locations. So the degree to which the climate system has been derailed by these operations is total at this point.
Now, expanding on my question about the level of the awakening you're seeing, I appreciate the credit to us, but we're all in this together, and people are interested in the general public. Why do you?
I got to pause it at that. Pardon me. I got to burp. When Donald Trump was elected as president, we were going through a drought. People were bitching about the chemtrails. Literally, there was like people running for positions in the California state just to, get answers on the chemtrails because it was literally destroying everything. I mean, it was always hot. And it was like one of the first times in years we ever came out of drought. And you can literally look this up. It was Trump comes into office. And when he does, I was pointing out to, fucking my friends, I was like, hey, stop really spraying the chemtrails, haven't they? We haven't seen chemtrails in like, a month or two. And then all of a sudden we get hit with storms and we fill up all our reservoirs. This is like I was talking about, like Gavin Newsom released all that water into the fucking ocean, but we literally filled up all our reservoirs. The Oroville Dam was so overflowing, it almost broke and washed out like all of Sacramento and shit like that. It was like literally, and I thought a lot of it was because that was nature balancing itself out because they didn't want to do shit right now. They were chemtrailing the fuck out of us. And, and here we are, flash forward. Trump's out of office. Biden's back in, and it's basically Obama 3.0. That fucking cocksucker who likes hot dogs. Look it up. Pedestophiles. But we're back to that. It's October 10th. And it was hot today. It wasn't really, really too bad. But it was in the 90s. And the last week and a half, it's actually been bounced around the high 90s to the, small hundreds, like 102, 104, and then 98 or whatever. It's still fucking hot. But it's October. We shouldn't be going through that. It's fall. It should be cooling down. The sun goes down earlier. Gets darker earlier. And so therefore it shouldn't be that fucking hot period at the end. I don't know, fucking I'm just saying, assholes. I'm just saying. You don't like it? Fuck you. I don't give a fuck. Let's get back to this.
You think you're seeing such a mass awakening, A, and then B, just like the Manhattan Project went on for 4 or 5 years, they kept it totally secret, hundreds of thousands of people working on it. Well, we know there's all these other big projects, and we have all the CIA documents. I showed them yesterday. They admitting it was a giant secret project starting in the 60s. It even went back to 47, but officially in the 60s, going into full scale, saying it was their most important project, the documents I showed yesterday. And so we're trying to expose this thing much bigger than the Manhattan Project that's hidden in plain view. So can you speak to both those questions?
Yeah, the way you frame that is exactly correct. Exactly correct. And people who deny this because they say it couldn't be hidden, it isn't being hidden. It's simply being denied. Anybody that's not clinically blind can see what's going on in our skies. You don't have grid patterns one day and nothing the next with similar atmospheric conditions unless something's being dispersed in our skies. And we have up close film footage of these aircraft, Alex, KC-10s, KC-135s, C-17s, nozzles visible turning on and off. Nothing's being hidden. We just have a public that wants to be lied to and wants to believe those lies. And that's finally, thankfully, breaking down as the public is being personally impacted by these operations. So the quote hiding of this issue is no different than pretending that certain medical treatments are, quote, safe and effective when they're anything but. For decades, we have the whole medical industrial complex going along with that. And it makes it easier to hide also, Alex, when you have illegal federal gag orders on National Weather Service and NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, all agency operations under that gag order. So the bottom line is we have an industry that, in the case of the federal weather modification or weather disseminating agencies, are being gagged. And in case of the local meteorologists, they're just concerned about their paychecks and pensions. And Alex, they're literally reading scripts. The skies you see right there in that video are so typical in so many regions. And we have the local meteorologists days in advance, sometimes a week in advance, stating that a day will be mostly sunny or filtered sunshine.
See the grids?
And that's filtered sunshine. How would that meteorologist know a week in advance that there's going to be aerosol spraying operations on those days unless they're reading a script?
Well, then we have, while they deny all this the last decade, all these thousands of headlines, CBS News, NBC News, BBC, they did it in Europe as well. Oh, there's a project to spray sunscreen to stop global warming and to dim the earth, and Bill Gates is involved. So they admit there's a project, and then you've got the former CIA director admitting there's a project in testing, but we don't want to, quote, scare the public, so we can't really talk about it. And then meanwhile, there's just this giant program. And then they admit what? I've seen NASA report the Earth's 20% dimmer than it was 50 years ago.
You're correct. That's where the term global dimming comes from. And for your listeners, most of which are highly educated on this, many of them might know this, but solar radiation management, that is the stated purpose for what is going on in our skies, to block some of the sun's incoming thermal energy. What's the end result of doing something this incredibly destructive? They're destroying the ozone layer, and the single biggest cause of ozone layer destruction, and no, it's not getting better. It's getting exponentially worse. It's not from hairspray cans, as we were told, Alex, I'm sure you remember back in the day. Those are harmful chemicals, but that's a literal drop in the ocean compared to what climate engineering is doing. So we have that by itself increasing the thermal energy buildup on the planet, not decreasing it. And what's the DoD do when you're destroying the ozone layer from these operations? What's their solution? Spray more to block some of that incoming thermal energy, which actually destroys even more of the ozone layer and causes, in the end, more thermal energy buildup. These particles that can block some daytime heating in some locations trap more heat than they deflect. That, in the end, again, builds up more thermal energy on the surface of the planet, completely disrupting the hydrological cycle. And I don't want to make it sound like that everything going on is just some project gone awry. This project is completely malevolent. There is no benevolence in these programs.
Dane, we've got a break. Stay there. Start over with that. This is key. I want to ask what the big picture is from the leading expert in the world, Dane Wigington, geoengineeringwatch.org. Save it. Share it. We're live now. Share the live links. When we archive this to X, get it out. We're going to stop this. We're going to take our governments back. Stay with us.
Stop.
The globalist deep state just took their war on free speech and our very identities and our very freedoms to the next level. They have now introduced a lawsuit against me where they literally claim they own my...
Oh, you got to hear this shit. You got to hear this shit.
My social media and me personally in violation of the 13th Amendment that we fought the Civil War over. They're actually saying I'm an indentured servant, that I am a slave.
Is fucked up.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm always the canary in the coal mine. I am the test case. When they get through me, they're coming after you.
Yep, they'll do it to everybody. Everybody. You fucking fart wrong on Twitter or
they've also filed in the federal court and also in the state court saying they own the name Alex Jones. and that they own real Alex Jones on X. Now, the courts have all said you can't do things like that, but they're trying it. And if I don't aggressively battle them in the state and federal court, they will get a win if I don't challenge it, and then they'll be able to use that tactic on you as well.
But it's when one has been at this for, but it's
happening. Dane, finishing up what you were saying before the break.
Sorry. All right, hold on for a second. I just wanted to say that what they're doing to Alex Jones is fucking shameful. They're literally trying to say they own his name, they own everything he does. He's got to pay off these Sandy Hook families. Look, I got a big problem with that, you know. He was never convicted of a jury, by a jury of his peers over his crimes. The judge decided his crimes, which is, in my opinion, illegal in this country, unconstitutional in this country. And I honestly think that judge should be fucking disbarred and never practice law again in the United States. Go to England. That's the shit go to Germany. That's the shit they did in Nazi Germany. Go to fucking Russia, you fucking whore. I mean, they made a lot of good memes about her too, which were fucking funny. But no, that was fucked up what they did to Alex Jones. And now they're, you know, he's on appeal, but they want their fucking 10 pounds of fucking flesh or whatever. I mean, fucking 1 point fucking something billion dollars. Talk about cruel and an unusual punishment. So not only did they, like, you know, deny his constitutional right to a fair trial, they also denied his constitutional right to not be a slave, and, you know, and cruel and unusual punishment. I think it's like the 8th Amendment. I mean, the fine is outlandish. It's too much. And they're going to control him for the rest of his life. No, that's indentured servitude. It's cruel and unusual punishment. And so all the shit's on appeal. But while it's on appeal, these crooked judges and these prosecutors and the fucking federal government are speeding things up on Alex Jones. And that's why they're going after him. So, like, I remember, like, the Twitter files when, you know, as far as X or what have you, they went after Alex because some little fucking punk kid was fucking around with some older fat dude with a fucking beard, and the guy was trying to, like, walk around, and this kid's, like, punching him, and the guy fucking throws him down. I don't even think he fucking smacks him. He might have smacked him. I would have smacked him. I would have fucking knocked that kid out. But he, like, just fucking threw him on the ground, and the kid ran. And they started making the case on the internet that the guy that did that was Alex Jones. Looks nothing like him, but they said that's Alex Jones. And that's why Twitter actually shut Alex Jones down. And of course, it was because also Alex Jones is going after fucking, what's his name? Oliver Darcy, that one little bug-eyed fucking bitch from fucking, where is he? Google or fucking... probably works for what's his name, the lizard guy. You know what I mean. But anyways, yeah. So, you know, and now they're, like, trying to, like, literally, they're shutting everything down on INFOWARS. And whatever Alex does, dude, I'm gonna follow him or what have you. And I'm pretty sure everybody will. That's why they're trying to go after his name. They say they own his name though. Now they say they own his X account, his Google accounts, anything on social media. Anything the guy ever does from now on, that money goes to the Sandy Hook families, because he supposedly sent people out to go pee on their kids' graves and dig up their corpses and all that kind of shit, which was total fucking bullshit. Never called for it. He never made a money off of it. Travesty of fucking justice, you know? And so, like, when I hear things about the Sandy Hook families, you know, look, I'm, you know, to the Sandy Hook families, I'm really sorry about your loss. But there's a First Amendment in this country, and that man has every right to fucking say what he had to say. He had every right to question it. He had every right to look into it. God gave you the right to say whatever you want to say. God gave him the same right. And that's what we look at in this country. And the fact that you went after him for what? he said and what you presumed he said from what the feds were telling you, because that came out too through one of those underground clips with the fucking Fed agent going, "Oh yeah, we actually persuaded them. We said, yeah, you could do this," and then they helped judge shop so they can go after Alex Jones. And before that, they went after Remington firearms or manufacturers. They closed shop, and it was all in the hands of the lawyers. The whole business was done. And these lawyers are like, yeah, let's score this one for equity. We will settle with the Sandy Hook families. When it's the same thing as, arguing, oh, well, let's sue the spoon manufacturer for making everybody fat. It was the same fucking argument. And it was just a disgrace. And, that's one of the reasons, like I said, I'm an independent. I lean more towards, the right Republicans, but because they're more conservative, and you guys aren't even close to the middle. Republicans will be close to the middle. And then you got the far right, but the far right will still negotiate with the middle. You guys on the left are fucking crazy. You guys, we can't fucking argue with you. We can't negotiate with you. You won't even come to the fucking table. It's your way or the highway. And you guys are fucking radical, pulling your fucking hair out because, like a little kid, nobody will listen to you. It's fucking sad and it's scary. It's fucking scary. Because you don't know what you're fucking doing. And you're like, oh, you're ruining democracy. You're ruining this country. No, we're not. No, I'm an independent. And I'll also speak on the Republican side. No, we're not. We are not doing no such thing. It's all you. I mean, fucking McCarthy was right. There are too many fucking commie bastards in America. Look what they've done to you. To the right, that, to the people that are in the middle and don't know better, and they're wondering why you sent your kids off to college and they come back not knowing what sex they are with purple hair. they think they might be lesbian. They don't know. They tried it a couple times. McCarthy was right. You guys, it's all on you. You know what? I had to end this. It's, it's not too late. I can go to bed early, but I'm just going to go ahead and review this. And yeah, look up what in the world are we spraying? Go to Alex Jones InfoWars. And if you want to find this video, it's on band.video. Alex Jones made, when they kicked him off of all those platforms over some other dude, throwing a fucking kid down to the ground, and him talking shit about to Oliver Darcy's face. And the guy is a fucking big bug-eyed sicko. Fuck that guy. He should go to prison for fucking with people's rights. That's the thing, freedom of speech and everything like that. We got to fight it in courts, and then we finally get it. And yeah, we get sometimes we'll get a compensation for it, like money or something like that. A lot of the times, no. It's just oh, you can't do that. And it's oh, okay, we'll just give up. It's no, what you injured this motherfucker. When it comes to the appeals courts and all this kind of shit, they just can't say to Alex Jones, sorry, my bad. We didn't mean to dissolve your company, your corporation, your radio station, your YouTube, your information powerhouse. We are sorry for doing that. We can never do it again, and we will never do it again. And that's the court ruling. Bullshit. No. You guys did this during an election time. Every single time you tried to get him out of the way, you tried to kill Trump. Yes, I am accusing the government. I'm accusing the Democratic Party. I'm accusing the CIA. I'm accusing the Secret Service. I don't give a fuck. The government tried to kill fucking Trump at least 5 fucking times. I don't want to go through. I've already gone through it. And every single time you've tried to kill that motherfucker, first you try to take Alex Jones off the air. Why? because he would be the biggest voice going, fuck you, this is bullshit. Which is scary because it's almost like they got to kill Alex Jones first before they can kill Trump. But maybe they're scared to go after Alex Jones. Fuck, maybe he's got better security than Trump does. Fuck's sakes. This is crazy. I mean, it's got to stop. You guys are going to lose and get out of the fucking country, I guess. But a lot of you people have to be hung for treason. I'm sorry. I didn't do it. That was you. And you thought you can get away with it. And you thought that, time will like lapse on and fucking the election will become like fucking 9/11. People still fucking remember 9/11, motherfucker. People still want answers for 9/11, motherfucker. I work with steel, aluminum. I fucking work with that shit all fucking day. I got some questions. I could probably make models and go, this didn't work out like how it happened on that day. What's wrong here? I mean, yeah. This whole fucking thing is fucked, and you guys need to just give up. I told you, you guys need to just let it go. And this, if you guys are using weather modification, and you're weaponizing that, true, probably the U.S. government isn't involved with that. The British are only bouncing it off, their satellites or our satellites. Or Russia or Iran, they're only bouncing it off our satellites to fucking steer hurricanes into our fucking states to help Kamala Harris because they're mainly red states. And so there's a big problem with people trying to vote here in the next 4 weeks. Let's give them $720. You guys, this isn't looking good for the ruling class. It doesn't look good for them. I think they ought to just step down. And I was like fucking around with my boss the other day. We're sitting there bullshitting about, what's going on. Because, we like to bullshit about shit. And I'm a conspiracy theorist. And so, he enjoys the conversations with me. And he's like, what the fuck is really going on with this world? And I go, you know what? It's your guys' fucking fault. You're old. You've had the power for the longest time. Had the world by the, edge of your fingertips. And now you got to let it go. And you don't like your kids. Kids don't do what you do. And you just can't let it go to the next generation. He's like, are you blaming that really on us? And I go, yeah, that's right. He's like, I guess you got a point. But yeah, I think he then insulted me right afterwards. Touche. Yeah. Anyways, fuck. Another 43 minute. All right. Sorry, guys. I'm going to crash out for the night. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe. Oh, who am I? I'm, the Gray 01 on Rumble. On YouTube, I am Luke Gray 7423. So follow me, fucking hit subscribe. Share them to people that are like-minded, do what you got to do. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.